If you thought the Jeffrey Epstein leaks were done for the day, you would be dead wrong, and Donald Trump would be very upset. Which he is, because Jeffrey Epstein's brother just shared information that is blowing up this scandal more than we even could have imagined, with one devastating image and some very unsettling anecdotes. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what Epstein's brother shared today, with all of these emails coming out, which are just so damning for Donald Trump, I want to start with the other devastating news he got today. Adelita Grijalva being sworn in, the 218th signature on the discharge petition to release the Epstein files, and the speech she gave today, which is blowing up Trump's term.
And while we celebrate this moment today, our American promise is under serious threat. Basic freedoms are under attack. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing. Babies are being ripped away from their parents by masked agents. We can and must do better. What is most concerning is not what this administration has done, but what the majority in this body has failed to do. Hold Trump accountable as a co-equal branch of government that we are. It has been 50 days since the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District elected me to represent them. 50 days that over 800,000 Arizonans have been left without access to the basic services that every constituent deserves. This is an abuse of power. One individual should not be able to unilaterally obstruct the swearing in of a duly elected member of Congress for political reasons. Our democracy only works when everyone has a voice. This includes the millions of people across the country who have experienced violence and exploitation, including Liz Stein and Jessica Michaels, both survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. They are here in the gallery with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Just this morning, House Democrats released more emails showing that Trump knew more about Epstein's abuses than he previously acknowledged. It's past time for Congress to restore its role as a check and balance on this administration and fight for we, the American people.
Donald Trump can no longer run, he can no longer hide, and the Epstein emails that came out this morning might be the most damning indictment yet in this scandal. It is a smoking gun that shows not only did Donald Trump know about what was happening with Epstein and his victims, he was clearly accessory to it enough to spend time with those victims and to have said nothing. And Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell knew that Donald Trump had said nothing. They were almost surprised that he did. And they knew they could hold it against him, whatever he did with those victims, if he ever tried to. That is what was made very, very clear. And I think what we've understood throughout this entire scandal, as more and more information has come out, more testimony that might not be in the documents, but I think that what's not in the documents is a little bit more damning. And that is why what Jeffrey Epstein's brother said today in an image that he had previously sent to Epstein about Donald Trump and his relationship with young women is so disturbing, especially with the information we have gotten today. That was all broken down on MSNBC, and I want to take a look.
The person we were just talking about, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein. We just put up the meme that Mark Epstein sent to Jeffrey Epstein, a picture. Let me put it up one more time. This is Donald Trump's face, and it says, "Would you trust this man with your daughter?" There it is. You just spoke with the man who sent that meme to his brother. What did he say today?
Right. I'll actually be honest. I completely missed the segment because I was on the phone with him.
That's
and
good.
Just got up from off the street here. And I think we should be very clear here. Mark Epstein is somebody who has said that he is known for decades now that his brother had a deep, close friendship with with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And he said, the way that he put it to me, when are people going to admit to themselves, this guy, President Trump, is so full of every time he opens his mouth. He says he wanted to deny.
Starts with an S-H?
It maybe does. He wanted to deny that he had a relationship or a friendship with Donald Trump. As Mark tells me, back in 1999, he was on the plane when they were having intimate conversation about women on a flight from Palm Beach, Florida, back up here to New York. He goes, he talked to his brother, somebody who he still cares deeply about even after his passing. And he says, at what point is there going to be a reckoning that Donald Trump just makes up stuff? And the number two part is that he's been very clear. This is outside the scope of what we're talking about today, but he wants a full investigation into the death of his brother, saying he doesn't believe anybody at this point anymore. He said he did sit down, he just told me, with the House Oversight Committee here this summer. I said, did they call and ask you to come in and speak? He goes, no, I requested to. And he said he went into detail with staff, trying to get them, to compel them to go even further beyond just the relationship between Donald Trump and other men that were a part of this cabal, and to really get at the fact of why did people want Jeffrey Epstein gone. This also goes to a conversation I had with Mark over the summer when he told me that Steve Bannon had 15 hours of footage of him interviewing Jeffrey Epstein. We have not seen that footage. And I think it's also worth noting that Michael Wolff has said that he has up to 100 hours of audio recordings with Jeffrey Epstein. We have not heard those audio recordings from either of the men. And that is what hits at the heart that Mark Epstein is so frustrated by, that the public, including him as the brother, do not have a full understanding of what the Department of Justice has, or frankly, what either of these two other men have.
Do you trust this guy with your daughter? That's not your 25-year-old daughter. That's not your 30, 40-year-old daughter. That's Donald Trump looking at a child and saying, I'll be dating her in 10 years, daughter. That is a beauty pageant, a teenager. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein seem to spend a lot of time around those. It's that type of daughter. That's what that image reflects. And they were joking about it. It was so glaringly obvious, Donald Trump's disgusting nature around young girls, that it was laughable, that it went without saying. That is what is being shown. And Jeffrey Epstein's brother, of course, was the one who alleged that it was Epstein who left Mar-a-Lago. It was Epstein who realized that Donald Trump was a criminal, that he was a phony, that he didn't want to be with him. He didn't want to be his buddy. Imagine that. Imagine being so just detestable that Jeffrey Epstein doesn't want to hang out with you. That is what Epstein's brother has said of Trump. So he's joking about how much he, much like Epstein, loves young girls, at the same time as he's sharing more information today about the closeness, the relationship with Donald Trump and his brother. And Donald Trump's silence really speaks volumes. You know, there's that clip of Trump talking about Bill Clinton back in 2015 when he was on the campaign trail, saying that there's going to be some problems with him as it relates to Epstein. Now, it's interesting that Donald Trump, who had largely stayed quiet and was able to, because of our failed mainstream media, not receive any pushback about his relationship with Epstein, it's interesting that he brought up Clinton to me. Because why would he want to introduce that? Why would he want to introduce that conversation? Well, again, who was Donald Trump running against in 2015? It was Hillary Clinton. So I think Trump was kind of, muddying the waters to be able to say, well, Bill was just as much involved. So why do you want to talk to me about it? Shouldn't you have to ask Hillary? Because people see that clip and they wonder, why would Trump even want to bring it up? Because I think he knew it could become an issue of the campaign, right? That's what that 2015 email was about between Wolff and between Epstein. It was about how they could potentially hold Epstein's relationship with Donald Trump, the crimes that they committed, against him if he became president or if he spoke out against Epstein. Right? That's what Michael Wolff was advising of Donald Trump. So it's interesting that he did that. He's been thinking about this for a while, and it's all gotten a lot clearer. And I think what is most important to do right now, of course, is not to stop pressing on this. We should be talking about Epstein all the time, but we should maybe even be looking outside of the documents that we have, looking for testimony from Epstein's brother, trying to find those tapes, get them handed over. I think that's what we need to be doing, because we know what's in the file, and we know how damaging it is to Trump, and we know it still may take a few more weeks. So let's bring in the other testimonies. That's what I want to see. Just follow the money. It is so damning, it is so glaringly obvious that these connections are so widespread. Kash Patel telling us that it was only Epstein, he was the only person involved, nobody else, no other trafficking, is the biggest admission yet that this is a broader operation that Trump was certainly involved in. And we need to just keep pushing on that. We have to keep pushing. Talk about all of this. AOC certainly did, not just with Epstein, with the shutdown as well, right here.
What do you think it shows you about what we know about Trump's relationship with Epstein?
Well, I think we've been seeing Republicans have been trying to deflect and imply that, even House Speaker Mike Johnson had insinuated a couple months ago that Trump was on some kind of secret mission. I think what these emails demonstrate is precisely why House Republicans have been trying to block the release of the Epstein files for months now. I think it illustrates in a very damning way, and I think it also implicates House Speaker Mike Johnson as well.
This is no time to let up. And this is a time for Democrats to really tap in to independent media. Now, I always say this, if you are independent media that kind of just follows along with what the corporate wing of the party wants, you kind of just do the regular talking points, you stay on message. And there's nothing wrong with uplifting the successes of our party. I think it's great, being a part of the fight. But if you are an apologist for Chuck Schumer, if you are not pushing for more progressive candidates, if you're not pushing back on those who take money from the crypto lobby, the oil lobby, the Israel lobby, you're just kind of corporate media because you're still corporate owned. But this is a great time for Democrats to engage with the independent media that wants to be talking about this, that'll push in the way that the mainstream press won't. And I advise every Democrat to do that. Someone like Robert Garcia, chairing up oversight right now. My God. Talk about someone who has used independent media to the fullest and supported us. It's all Midas, like 2 times a day at this point. He's been on this show all the time. That is the type of leader that we need. Robert Garcia, hats off to you today, especially being able to secure these documents. We are going to keep fighting on this show. We are going to bring you all the news you need to know. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.